I just finished the final episode of Echo. I just wanted to get my thoughts down while I cooked dinner. I'd never heard of Echo before the show was announced. I never watched Daredevil. They had a Marvel would like to thank the wonderful people of the Choctaw Nation message at the end of the show. I would be upset if that was how they represented me. Most of the Choctaw people were scum. They started out nice, a nice Choctaw family sitting in their backyard around their fire, speaking in sign language for their deaf daughter. Very nice. The mum dies in a car accident and Maya loses her leg because a massive shard of glass basically amputates it. But automotive glass doesn't shatter into shards, it turns into cubes. I had to check if the car was hit by a glazier. It wasn't. I just watched a documentary on Henry Ford a couple of days ago, and they were talking about how even when the Model T came out, other auto manufacturers were using the glass that shatters into tiny cubes, while Henry Ford held out and used plate glass that when they got into car accidents, it would amputate people's heads and limbs, and they basically called them a death trap. So cars have had safety glass for generations. Maya/Echo, she's scum. I've never seen a more unlikable character before. She's only doing the bad things to make her life easier. She's not out to help people, she's not fighting injustice. When she's a kid, she kills a woodpecker, but her mum uses her magic to bring it back to life, so the kid learns nothing about the value of life. I thought she was going to say, sorry, we can't bring it back, it's dead, we have to kill it. But no, she puts her hands over it and it comes back to life and they let it go. Lesson learned. She asked an ice cream salesman for an ice cream, and the ice cream salesman says, oh no, we're sold out of that one, you have to pick something else. And she keeps pointing at it and he's like, what do you want? Use your words. Meanwhile, Kingpin sees this and decides, well, this guy needs to die. So he gets out of the car, walks over, takes him down an alley and beats the absolute snot out of him. And then Maya comes along. Kingpin's like, oh, don't be afraid, it's alright. Maya walks up to this guy who's already incapacitated and kicks him a couple of times. She's scum. Maya's dad is some kind of a crook and Maya's mum is killed as someone cuts their brakes to get back at them. Maya's grandmother abandons her granddaughter because she reminds her too much of her own daughter that died. Maya's uncle is in with the swindling and tried to get out of it and start a roller skating rink, but he's still dodgy. Maya ropes her cousin Biscuits in. Got a nice blue healer, by the way. Biscuits seem okay, but a little easily led astray, but harmless. Early on, Maya returns to her hometown with a gaping wound. Her uncle gets the local mortician to sew her up, says that if you want a body to disappear, that's who you call. Later, when they need to get rid of bodies, they just disappear. They could have called the mortician back. The local hoodlum tries to turn Maya in for a bounty. They manage to capture this amazing warrior because her guardian ancestors who were always there for her distracted her so that she could get chloroformed in broad daylight. Wonderful. These hoodlums don't just take her to their home or an abandoned building. They take her to her uncle's roller skating rink where he is and where other people are going to be turning up to skate. Then they tie her up and have someone watch her, but not in the room, no. They watch her from outside the room. Geniuses. She manages to escape and she frees her cousin, who is also tied up, and starts rummaging through piles of junk to make a weapon. I couldn't help but think, would a deaf person be able to act stealthily? I heard that some deaf people don't realise their farts make a noise. Having a deaf protagonist was a bad idea. Every conversation takes place at a snail's pace as everyone slowly signs their messages. And the messages seem to be the most simple of language. There's very little nuance. I think the deafness came in handy twice, both in the same scene. The uncle secretly signalled to the cousin to leave and Maya turned the music up to deafening levels to give herself an advantage. It can't be a Disney/Marvel/Star Wars without having girl power take over. The ancestors she gets her power from are all women. It seems like their lineage only goes back 6 generations though, or did the powers skip a few hundred? She got a sharpshooting skill from one of her ancestors, but when they're naming the skills, she got cunning from that ancestor for some reason. 2 things I liked about Echo. I liked seeing the Choctaw clothing and dances. I would have liked to have heard why they wear it and what it's made from, etc. Their costumes were very colourful and full of motion. I also liked the grandfather. Sure, he was a bit of a swindler, taking advantage of tourists, but I can overlook that. He loved to have a joke and seemed like his heart was in the right place, which was extra surprising when he wasn't in the big family reunion at the end. The fights were pretty ordinary. The Daredevil fight was ridiculous. They sacrificed believability to have a quote-unquote one-shot action scene. There were cuts galore. And Daredevil just turns up and then leaves. Okay, The number of times guys with guns closed the distance to engage in melee with a woman they had already seen can handle herself quite well were ludicrous. I was yelling at the screen, "Shoot her! She's right there!" I almost spat my drink out when her ancestors were behind her in a power stance during the final fight. It was so poxy. It was probably the first time in a long time that one of these Disney shows didn't have the titular character sidelined by another character that they were wanting to create a spin-off from. That's all I can think of off the top of my head, but to sum it up, Echo was boring and stupid. Don't waste your time. Or watch it with friends and some drinks and get some laughs out of it. Overall, it's a 4 out of 10 at this point, just shockingly bad. It feels like they made a series, didn't like how it turned out, and then cobbled a shorter series out of what they'd already shot. I'll be doing a 5-part series on each episode because there's a lot to complain about. I think you know if you're the kind of person who would watch this. If you've always wanted a show about a Native American or deaf or crippled or female superhero, this is for you. Or if you're a 10-year-old girl, maybe. We can do better for little girls though. Don't lump them with this garbage.